Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to some of you, and peace out to the rest of you. Hit the share button because the message is more important than the messenger. So I get right to the point in this one. There are Muslims in the red pill space, and there are even those who were not that became Muslim. Andrew Tate, Sneeko being amongst them. Red pill is not a religion for us. For us, the red pill is an awareness of something that is very real. But the name of our religion is not red pill. We're not going to be worshiping personalities. Those of us that are Muslim and are serious about it are not going to worship personalities. There will be no personality cults for us. If somebody were going to be worshipped, it might have been Andrew Tate, and he chose to worship God. Now, he's a new Muslim. He is not an example of what to do and what not to do, and he'll tell you that. He's admitted that he's got a lot to learn. And so, and it is a learning curve. There are things you will be learning 5 years from now. If you accepted it today, if you accepted this religion today, there's a lot that you would learn within the first few months, and it would be fairly easy. And then there will be things, little details that you continue to learn over the years, and that's normal. That's okay. Israel Young Lion knows about this. There are things he's learning now, and 5 years from now, it'll come in a trickle, but there will be things he will be learning even then. It happened with me. It's happening with a relative of mine that accepted Islam a little over a year ago. It's going to happen with Israel Young Lion. It's going to happen with Andrew Tate. It is happening with him. But what this means is that, again, we are not going to be worshiping personalities. Red pill for us being an awareness of something that's real. It's like having medical knowledge. That's what red pill is like for us. It's like having medical knowledge. You're aware of certain things medically. They do not contradict the faith. Now, if you find out about certain things medically and you turn around and you try to say then that people need to consume the flesh of a pig, that is where we're going to differ. No, the hell, they don't. Whatever benefit you're going to sit up and say can come from pork, you can get from something else too. But in general, as a norm, no. In general, as a norm, you're going to be able to learn about this and still maintain your faith. See, what differs are the reactions. And so I would like for Muslims that are quite conservative to remember this. We don't have a choice but to be red pill aware. It's not an option. It is not even an option now here in Saudi. These men need to be red pill aware. In this country, here, with the tradition and with the patriarchy, they need to be, because feminism is encroaching. You already got threesomes going on in Riyadh. Never seen one, but they're there. The word threesome, the English word threesome, is now in the vocabulary of the people here. I'm now seeing women not only walking around with tattoos that you can see, and I don't necessarily know where they're from, if they're from here or elsewhere, but in addition to that, I am also seeing them with babies. Somebody's sticking it in them, skeeting, and probably with a marriage contract. Otherwise, I don't think they would have kept the babies. But somebody is paying dowries to marry them, and they got tattoos. We're seeing this. So It's necessary even here now. Should not have been, but it is. If you're a young Muslim whose parents left a Muslim country and you're growing up in the West, you have to understand that the red pill awareness is necessary for you. It is the reaction that changes and that is governed by your faith. A non-Muslim and a Muslim can come across the exact same information. Take Tristan Tate and Andrew Tate, for instance. They can come across the same information, and Tristan Tate can turn around and use this and say, well, I'm going to run through as many of these broads as I feel like, as I can, because it's war. And I'm not going to accept him imposing celibacy on me, which I can understand. That's insulting as hell. Then Andrew will be like, well, I'm not going to fornicate. I better not. And if I do, it can't be retaliation for this. It's a private sin if I do it. But I'm going to marry. And I'm going to marry up to 4. And I'll treat them equally, but I will tolerate no crap from either of them. I will pay the cost and I will be the boss. That's his retaliation, if you want to call it that. That's his reaction. I wish it wasn't like this to a certain extent. But now, young Muslim guys whose parents are from Muslim countries, who are now growing up in the West, have to have this awareness too, because they're seeing the worst. They're confronted with the Western Muslima. She now behaves worse than the Western non-Muslima, because she wants her rights under Uncle Sam, or under the Canadian courts, or under the UK government and in their cultures. And she wants none of the responsibilities, and then she wants her rights under Islam and none of its responsibilities. In Egypt, years ago, 2018, before I was even active on this, in this space and on YouTube, I remember an Egyptian man telling me that these women wanted, in his country, they wanted the rights under Islam and the rights under British law and the rights under the Western paradigm, and they wanted the responsibilities under neither one. I remember that. I also remember being on a flight. 2018, I think it was. Sitting next to an Egyptian man who was talking about how he and his wife were worried about their daughter because she was in her 30s and she hadn't married. And she had expressed the fear of winding up being a single mom. It's already there. It's not as bad. There's a chance to reverse it compared to what you guys are going through in the West. But yeah, I do want to point this out. I want us to understand this. This is not a joke. The red pill awareness is a necessity because of the situation. We also are not to compromise our religion by changing and coming up with an unnecessary reaction, a wrong reaction, and saying, oh, well, we had to do it when we didn't. I'm not telling any Muslim to change his faith. I'm telling Muslims to learn these red pill realities because these ladies insist upon it. Muslim women that are growing up here in these Muslim areas, they're just not as disrespectful to the men yet. And I know that day's coming because I know how Arab women are. I know how they get down. That day's coming. It's just that when they do that to these men will fight back. And these men will leave them. That's the difference. These men ain't tolerating that, but these women are going to do it. They're just not there yet. They already got all this attitude when you start showing them that you want to marry them. Well, this is what I want. Okay. And guess what? The lady from Yemen, that lady from Iraq, she doesn't ask for all that. That Egyptian woman, she doesn't ask for all that. So we'll go over there instead. So I wanted to let the most conservative of the Muslims know that the red pill awareness is a necessity. It's not something that God necessarily said. It's just the way that the women made it. But that's an awareness. It's an awareness that is necessary. No one in their right mind is saying that we change the religion because of it. And I also want to tell some who are on the other extreme, they may not be Muslim at all, but they see some of the Muslims, and I want them to understand as well that we as Muslims are not going to be following behind personalities in the form of worship. We may listen to them, we may learn from them, but we do not follow behind them as personalities, because there's no personality worship for us. We're not allowed that. We are required. It's nothing personal, it's just the rules. We are required to not follow behind personalities and worship them. I mean, following behind a person because of what they know is one thing, but we are required to not worship a personality. We're not allowed to do that. We are required to go by certain doctrines and follow certain rules. And that's what you're going to see at times. Some of you are going to say, well, wait a minute, isn't Andrew Tate Muslim now? And what's your stance on that? And isn't he right about anything? And the answer to that would be that, yeah, Andrew Tate can be right about the religion. He can be right about the awareness that entails the red pill. And then by the same token, he could be wrong about something regarding the religion because he doesn't know, because it's new to him. And we don't follow him when we know about it. I'm with the features in the understanding that the red pill should not have been a necessary awareness for young Muslims whose parents came from Muslim countries and then went over to the West. Left areas like where I'm living now to go live over there where you are. I'm with him in that regard. I also understand that their women forced that, because a lot of them who left places neighboring where I'm living now to go over there where you are were not the regular run-of-the-mill people from these countries. A lot of times those mothers were feminist. I know that. Now their daughters are feminist and misandrist and everything else. I'm a Muslim feminist. The F is that? That's real. That's there. It's no joke. And these women, they're really putting their counterparts through the ringer. They've grown up in the West, the modern day ones that have grown up in the West. And moms wasn't checking feminism, wasn't in their interest to do it. Pops didn't know about it. Moms might have even covered it. And what do? They start with the white worship. That's real. The features will talk about that. A lot of Desi Muslim women have had sexual experiences with non-Muslim men. So if you're one of their own men, a man at Desi origin, you grew up in the West, you're looking to get married, you've been holding it in, because wasn't nobody trying to tempt you away from chastity anyway. You've been up there trying to hold it in, and you've been holding it in. You start looking to get married. And if you get the chance to even have a conversation with the women you're going to marry so that you can work things out ahead of time, guess what you find out? Oh, she ain't no virgin. Never had a boyfriend, but she ain't a virgin. You're like, what the F, man? You never had a boyfriend, but you're not a virgin. So I'm a virgin, and I don't get this in exchange from you. And you didn't even have a boyfriend. You just gave it up because you had a moment of weakness. Don't tell me about Allah forgives. You should be paying me the dowry, because you're going to leave. That's what they're like. That's how they are. That's what these guys are dealing with. So now, unfortunately, whether we like it or not, now these guys have to have a red pill awareness too. They shouldn't need it, but they've got to have it, because the parents probably didn't know about this enough, or their parents knew and failed them. And the sisters, being American, Canadian, British, knew what it was that women wanted and didn't tell their brothers, sons, nephews, cousins. They just let them not know. That's what they did. Now they got to have the same red pill. They need the same red pill awareness because of what's being intentionally kept away from them, like they did something wrong and they didn't do anything wrong. So with that being said, that's what you're going to be seeing in the future moving forward. You've probably already seen it. Maybe some of you didn't understand it. I hope I explained it and cleared it up. I meant well, and I thank you for listening. As always, black heart, black mind, black out, assalamu alaikum, and black heterosexual non-select male power because they don't like it. Black patriarchy until extinction of judgment day. And thanks again for flying with me on Jet Black Airways, where jet black is also a verb. Keep jetting black with me till the wings and the wheels fall off. Gender justice forever.